People come from all walks of life. They all have lives they lead. Any and all are welcome here to come and chat with me.
Hi, everyone. Well, you're going to be excited about today's show. The reason is you get to meet another one of my relatives. You already met two of his brothers. Here he is, all the way from Collingwood, my cousin, Christopher Carrier. Hi, Chris.
Hi, nice to meet you.
I was trying to think of if we ever met in person, but I'm kind of thinking maybe not. I'm not sure.
If we did, I would have been 5 years of age or younger.
Yeah.
And so I don't think so.
Yeah, I'm thinking that, I can remember some of the old ones. Mostly I remember is Alan, because we used to walk to school together. And when he was about 14 or 15, he came and spent a week with us in Montreal.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Well, I have some fond memories of visiting the boys in Montreal.
Yeah. And then we used to go stay with the family when your father was stationed in Valcartier.
Yes.
Because
yes.
My brother Bunny was there too at the same time, right? So we used to go there and visit a lot.
Oh, nice.
Anyway,
nice.
Now this is about you, not about my visiting and stuff like that. So now you were once the mayor of Collingwood, correct?
That is true. I was elected to office in 1998 as a councillor. I served as a councillor until 2006, and then from 2006 to 2010, I served as the mayor of Collingwood, so a total of 13 years in elected office. And I chose to leave and to go back full-time to the private sector at the end of 2010.
Well, let's back up a little bit. What brought you to Collingwood to begin with?
Well, that's interesting because when we left New Brunswick, when I was 5 years of age, we moved in with my grandparents in Simcoe County in central Ontario. And my grandfather was in the military service. He was chief warrant officer at Base Borden. So we lived near there. And we moved to the city of Barrie a few years later. And my mother met a gentleman out of Parents Without Partners dance in Barrie, Ontario, and they fell in love. So she moved us to Collingwood, Ontario, where he was from. And I think we were age 13 at the time, 1977. And I've been fortunate to live here most of my life. So except for going away to university and coming back, I'm one of those fortunate people in the early 80s who was able to go away to school and come back and still make a life here and not have to move away.
Yeah, that's nice, right? That's very nice. I like that. What did you decide to get into politics to begin with?
Well, I blame my grandparents on that one. When we were younger, because as you know, growing up, we didn't have this multitude of TV channels. Yeah. Where we grew up, we had 3 TV channels. And one of the shows that we used to watch was something called Front Page Challenge.
Right.
And they would bring on guests from across Canada, but a lot of it was politics. And my grandparents were people who were enthusiastic about politics, and they looked at public service as something that was not to be put on a pedestal, but certainly not something that was to be made fun of and ridiculed as we see now in social media. So they held it up as a laudable thing to do and a way to give back to your community. So I had been fortunate in the town of Collingwood to be working here and living here, and myself and 2 other gentlemen, we bought a roof truss manufacturing company. After having worked there for a number of years, we pooled our resources and bought the company. And I was in a position where, as one of the owners of the company, that I had the time that I could, if I was elected, to give back to our community. So I chose a path into which I felt anyway that I would be giving back to the community that had given me so many opportunities.
Right. I'm just wondering, when you talked about your grandfather, now our grandfather, Papa, do you remember Mama and Papa at all?
I do not. I do not.
Oh, okay. But I think I seem to remember that Papa had been involved in politics, maybe in Campbellton in the early years. So,
oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah, if so, you would have got it from both sides somehow, right?
Yes. Well, I met the mayor of Campbellton at a conference in Halifax I was there for the Federation of Canadian Municipalities just a few years ago, and I met the mayor, and we had a lovely conversation and reminisced about some of the things of Campbellton. And so, yeah, it was kind of fun. I didn't know that he was in politics.
Yeah, I think
my brother Francis met our grandmother,
Yeah.
our paternal grandmother, when he had gone to New Brunswick when my father was alive, when he was younger. And no, I did not have that opportunity at that time to go and see them.
Right. Yeah. No, speaking of your brother, now, where are you in the lineup of brothers?
So there are 7 sons, which are with Andy's group and Alan's group. Okay.
Yeah.
So yes, and Teddy is the youngest of those 7, right?
Right.
So I am the 8th. So I am the eldest of the next 4. With my mother, she had 4 sons, and then Karen, who is the next group, and the only daughter that we know of. And so, yeah, so I'm in the middle, but I'm at the top of the food chain in the middle. How's that?
Quite an interesting story, isn't it, in itself?
It is. Yes. When I tell people that my father, I'm aware of 12 children, that he had 12 children, 7 sons with his first wife and 4 with his second and 1 with his third. They are quite surprised.
Now, the interesting thing, and I'm not sure if you're aware of it, when there were the original 7, and my brother Bunny, he had 6 girls.
Oh, okay.
So that's the interesting thing about when they were both in Valcartier, one with the 7th son, the other one with the 6 daughters,
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
now,
when I was younger, like from the few memories that I have of living in New Brunswick, I mean, I remember Andy and I remember Michael in particular, because we lived on O'Leary Street and they lived with us and things like that. But
Yeah.
The memories that I have of Alan and Gary and Johnny are from later on in life. I don't remember them from being 5 years old. I don't recall that.
Yeah, such a long distance age-wise and year-wise between you, right?
Yes. I'm 57. I was born in 1964.
Right.
So all of the boys, the 7 of them, of course, are older than I am.
Yeah, for sure. It's just so intriguing. Now let's talk about your what you do. You're in the private sector. What do you have? You have a business, I believe.
Yeah. So when I chose to leave politics at the end of 2010, I went to a political fundraiser in January 2011 in the city of Toronto for a friend of mine in provincial politics. And I met some gentlemen there, some semi-retired and retired insurance adjusters who were starting a new company called Firemark Incorporated. And they recover funds for municipal fire departments in response to insured peril. So I'm not going to bore your listeners with the big, long story. Anyways, they were telling me their business model. And as I am apt to do, I gave them some advice on how to launch their new business. And they called me 5 months later and said that as seasoned insurance professionals, they dealt with lots of types of people, but they were very unfamiliar with dealing with the ins and outs of local government. And was I interested in a job? So I negotiated a contract in a home office. So I work from home unless I'm traveling coast to coast to coast. And of course, post-COVID or during COVID, that all shut down the travel, and it's all been Zoom and Microsoft Team meetings. But I do miss the travel because I've been in every province, and it's quite enjoyable.
Yeah, that sounds wonderful. If you ever get traveling again and you come to this part of the world, let us know. There's.
I've been to Powell River, BC.
Oh, you have, eh?
So I have flown into British Columbia and then taken a small plane on a very windy day.
Oh no!
To Powell River, BC, and I didn't look red when I landed. I looked a little peaked, and it was a short 22-minute flight, but boy, was it ever bouncy and windy. But no, I plan on this next post-COVID time is when I travel. I'm going to take a little more time. I often fly in, do meetings, and then fly out either the same day or the next day,
Right.
just to maximize the business time. But I've determined, probably like many people during COVID, that I think some of the people relationships need to have a greater balance, and that I'm going to take a little more personal time when I travel.
That'd be nice, yeah. Because like here in Chilliwack, I have 2 sisters and a brother that live here, you know.
Oh, nice.
Older than me, and they would remember more of your family than I do, right?
Yes.
So that would be kind of cool. And we've been over to Soup to meet Andy.
Yeah, Andy keeps posting those pictures of the pizza on Facebook, and boy, does it ever look good.
I know it does. Yeah, it was really good. You know, and we hope to, one of our plans, and we'd love to, next time we go to Montreal, like see Jimmy, if we get a chance, you know. But it's so difficult that, you know, when you have a large family, it is so difficult to try to fit everybody in time-wise. And
well, Jimmy will be seeing me before anybody else, because I have clients in Cornwall, Ontario, and Eastern Ontario, and it's just really just a couple more hours just to drive east and pop in on them. But I would give them a heads up that I'm coming. So it's I'm determined that that will happen either this fall after September, when the interprovincial travel is a little easier.
Right. I have to say that I'm really enjoying getting to know you guys. You know, thank goodness for Facebook, because I've been able to connect with family members, you know, cousins and nieces and nephews that I haven't seen, or some I've never met, but a lot I haven't seen in many, many years. So Zoom has done a lot for that with that Facebook, of course, you know. So
yes, I agree. I find with a lot of my cousins, you can reach out to them, and vice versa. And same with our very extended family. And it is a blessing in this time when you can't certainly get together with them face to face.
Yeah.
But this is face to face. It's just a different way of getting together face to face. Not in person,
but still face to face.
And this is how we celebrated, you know, Christmas and birthdays this year.
For sure.
It's been via Zoom. Like I have 3 adult children, and, you know, I'm waiting a few more weeks till everybody's double vaxxed. I'm double vaxxed, but I'm waiting for everybody else to be double vaxxed so that we can actually get together and have Christmas 2020 in the fall this year.
Very nice.
And hug them.
Yeah. The physical stuff. Yeah. So where do your kids live?
I have one who lives in Creemore, Ontario, one in Waterloo, Ontario, and one in Toronto.
Oh, very nice.
2 girls and a boy. Sarah is my oldest. She's going to be 30 this year. Courtney is my middle child, 28, and Michael is my youngest at 23 in Waterloo, Kitchener-Waterloo.
Very nice, eh?
Yeah.
It's so hard. It's so great to be able to keep in contact with your children.
Oh yeah, I mean, they are a blessing. I mean, some of my greatest joys, and I mean, like most parents, probably some of the greatest pains. And I don't mean pain, like, you know, I mean, some of the greatest hurt is when you see them hurt or something, and that bothers you. So it is a blessing. Yeah,
unfortunately, we can't walk. We're not allowed to run their lives for them. They're so selfish, these kids, right?
Yes, that's true. That is very true.
So what are your future plans, if you have any?
In the short term, just to continue to work. My wife is retired. She's a retired high school teacher. So she retired 4 years ago.
What's her name, by the way?
Colleen.
Hi, Colleen. If you get to see this, hi, Colleen.
Yeah, she is an avid golfer. She golfs 6 days a week. If I could afford to golf 6 days a week, I would too. But I golf about 3 days a week, and we golf together. We probably play 100 rounds of golf together a year. So anyways, I between work, I would figure another few years of work, and then maybe look to something else that would be a little more amenable to a retirement life. We live in Collingwood, Ontario, so we are in one of those communities where people want to move to retire. So we have that luxury of not necessarily having to move. We can if we wanted to, but I'm not sure where I would go, where we would go if we did decide to move.
Would you ever consider getting back into local politics?
I like Al Gore's attitude. I'm a recovering politician, and the longer I'm away from it, the less likely I am to relapse. I think with the how social media has evolved, I think that you get a lot of armchair quarterbacks. You get a lot of online trolls. It's really, I think, become the bad side of it. It's become rather toxic. Yeah. And do you really want to put yourself and your family through that type of aggravation? And I don't think people fully appreciate the sacrifice that a lot of local politicians do and give. They're doing a lot of hard work and very responsible work for very little compensation.
Right.
A lot of people look at politicians and think, oh, you get this big salary and you get a pension. Well, no, that would be the very large urban politicians and the provincial and federal politicians. It's certainly not your local elected officials, who are usually paid, between $10,000 and $20,000 a year for a full-time responsible job with part-time pay. Not that compensation makes up for the level of responsibility and aggravations and sacrifice you have to make, but I'm not sure that I would. You never say never in politics. I loved it. I loved representing people's interests at the table. I love the fact that I got to do mind-numbingly research on various topics that would drive most people crazy, but for somebody who likes public policy, I just found it thrilling. And ensuring that the process was fair and equitable to people. Now, at the local level of government, the difficult thing is that people feel so distant from provincial and federal politicians and policies that they often look to local government to solve solutions that really are the responsibility of the income redistribution levels of government, which is provincial and federal. And so you hear people, you see people, you're in their community and you want to meet their needs, but you just don't have the financial resources to do so. Ontario is a little bit different than British Columbia. British Columbia has the regional district models of government, and I love that. I think that that's an ideal way to look at certain services and how they're delivered and who pays for them. So it's not on the general tax base, it's just within the people that use that economy or those resources, and they actually pay for them. So BC, I think, is far more progressive in its way of governance than Ontario is.
Well, that's been great. Listen, we're just about out of time. I've really enjoyed.
Okay.
I've enjoyed talking to you and learning more about you. And hopefully, in the future, we'll actually get to meet in person. One never knows, right?
Right. Oh, I would love that.
So just stay online while I say goodbye to everybody.
Okay.
Okay, everybody. I hope you enjoyed meeting my cousin Christopher Carrier. He lives in Collingwood, Ontario. And he's a consultant now. I don't know if we mentioned that, actually. Did we mention that, Chris?
Yeah, I'm the national accounts manager. I did start 22 months as their consultant, and then they hired me full time.
Okay, there you go. And thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you see you next time. Until then, peace out.
A sense of community. Chilliwack's a place to be, a sense of community where you're free. Rolling through the mountains, rolling through the valley, rolling through paradise with me. It's multicultural, you're sure to see it all. Chilliwack's a place to be, you'll see. Come party in the park, go dancing after dark. Chilliwack's a place to be, you'll see.